Tonight, the shocking new twists in the hunt for the killer of the health insurance CEO. What police found inside what they believe is the shooter's backpack. The new photo of the backpack abandoned in Central Park. Inside, a stack of Monopoly money. Is it a message from the killer? The murder weapon still missing. Plus, what police revealed about his time at a hostel. Days of eating meals with his mask on. The historic moment in Paris today. The doors of Notre Dame Cathedral finally reopened, the bells ringing once again. The stunning ceremony filled with music and pageantry. Craig Melvin is there for us. President-elect Trump on the world stage, meeting with Ukraine's president. What he told our Kristen Welker exclusively about his plans for the war in Ukraine. Syria on the brink. Rebel forces closing in on the country's capital. Is the regime about to fall? A convicted murderer caught on camera escaping. The corrections officer chasing him. Why didn't he fire his weapon? Now the manhunt. And the giant drone the size of a car hovering over Pentagon leaders at a conference. The latest in a series of mystery drone sites.
These drones are coming out of who knows where.
The FBI now investigating.
This is NBC Nightly News with Jose Diaz-Balart.
Good evening. The mystery into who killed health insurance CEO Brian Thompson took another turn further into the bizarre today. For days, police have been searching Central Park looking for the backpack the killer wore during the shooting. And last night, they believe they found it. And now they've cracked it open. Inside, Monopoly money. You know, those fake bills you use in the classic board game. It's the latest strange twist added on to the fact that the killer wrote the words depose, delay, deny on separate bullet shells found at the scene. The murder weapon still missing, but police now believe it may have been a rare gun used on farms to kill animals. And the timeline of his days in New York now more complete. Police learning key details from the two men he shared a hostel room with. Tom Winter starts us off tonight.
Tonight, crucial new evidence in the manhunt for the suspect in the targeted killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. This backpack, found in Central Park after air and ground searches, police believe is linked to the shooter seen in surveillance video. Two senior law enforcement officials say no gun was found inside. What was found? A jacket and Monopoly money. The NYPD says nothing in their investigation so far suggests the killing was related to Thompson's personal life.
The net is tightening, and we're going to bring this person to justice.
New York City Mayor Eric Adams says details like whether or not police have an ID on the shooter are being closely held.
We don't want to release that now. If you do, you're basically giving a tip to the person we're seeking, and we do not want to give him an upper hand at all.
But there are new details about the suspect. New York City's chief of detectives providing a timeline based on video footage to reporters. The shooter arrived in New York on Sunday, November 24th, and was caught on camera at the Port Authority bus terminal near Times Square. The bus he took originated in Atlanta, though it's not clear when the shooter got on, given that there were several stops on the way to New York. The shooter then took a taxi to the area where the shooting occurred. It was there for about a half hour before heading to a hostel on the Upper West Side, where he possibly provided a fake ID to check in. He checked out of the hostel on Friday, November 29th, but checked back in the next day. While at the hostel, the suspect had two roommates who say he kept his mask on even when eating, lowering it only when taking a bite of food. And according to a senior law enforcement official, in this one moment upon his initial arrival when flirting with a woman who worked at the front desk. The shooter left the hostel at 5:30 a.m. the morning of the shooting. After the shooting, traveling by bike up to Central Park, then by taxi further uptown to a bus terminal where police believe he boarded a bus out of New York City. And from there, the trail goes cold. So he comes up over here and comes in on this part of the Port Authority. That's where the NYPD last sees him. But he could be right up here and over the George Washington Bridge and out of town on a bus pretty easily.
Absolutely, Tom. By going into this Port Authority terminal, there's nothing binding that states he needs to be in there and catch a bus. So he can be over the bridge and in the wind, and we won't know it.
Darren Porcher is a former lieutenant with the NYPD.
You're looking up at a camera, or you're looking over here at a camera on the side of a store.
Walk me through the process.
This is a very unique area. We have a lot of hustle and bustle. We have far more cameras in a place like this based on the dense population as well as the commercial properties that are here.
Police are now investigating if the weapon may be a veterinary gun used to put down animals.
This is a very rare weapon. In essence, this is a needle in a haystack, but we have a lot of needles in this one haystack, which works in our favor in law enforcement to apprehend this violent assailant that's on the streets.
Police also clarified the detail about words written on shell casings, saying they were depose, delay, and deny, written in Sharpie, one word on each shell casing, a possible reference to frustration with the health insurance industry.
And Tom joins me now from where that shooting occurred on Wednesday. Tom, the investigation in this case now well beyond New York City.
Oh, that's right, Jose. The NYPD sending its detectives to Georgia, officials say. The Atlanta Police Department says they're going to assist them. Back here in New York City tonight, investigators are out in Central Park looking for more evidence and trying to find that gun. Jose?
Tom Winter in New York, thank you. And turning now overseas to Paris, where today a new era officially began for the legendary Notre Dame Cathedral, finally reopening 5 years after that devastating fire. Our Craig Melvin is there.
Jose, Notre Dame is more than just a landmark. For many, it is very much the embodiment of Paris. And just as the world watched in horror 5 years ago as flames nearly destroyed this majestic cathedral behind me, today we all watched and celebrated its return. A magnificent rebirth in the heart of Paris. 5 years after a devastating fire tore through Notre Dame Cathedral, the rebuilt Gothic landmark officially reopened today. Though not damaged by the flames, Notre Dame's bells rang again in a ceremony filled with pomp and prayer, music and singing. The ceremony started outside, with the Archbishop of Paris striking the main door of the cathedral with his staff made from burned wood recovered from the fire. The crowd giving a standing ovation to the heroic firefighters, artisans, and builders who worked tirelessly to save and restore the cathedral. The exterior lit up with merci, French for thank you. France's President Emmanuel Macron offering his praise for everyone involved. President-elect Donald Trump shaking hands with Macron after his speech. Also in attendance, First Lady Dr. Jill Biden, Prince William, and Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky. 113 banners carried in by representatives from the Diocese of Paris. Pope Francis sending his blessing through a bishop who read a letter directly from him. Once assembled inside, the blessing of the cathedral's 19th century pipe organ, which incredibly survived the devastating fire. It was April 15th, 2019. The world watched, stunned as flames chewed through the 800-year-old cathedral. Fire crews battled for hours to save the building and the precious artifacts inside. Then, Macron's ambitious call to rebuild and reopen in just 5 years. An army of nearly 2,000 builders, masons, and artisans went to work. The result? A gleaming, reborn Notre Dame. Today's ceremony, a celebration of hope, determination, and faith.
Jose, it was truly a moving and emotional experience. This will be a weekend of celebrations and ceremonies here at Notre Dame. Following today's reopening ceremony tomorrow, they will celebrate the first official mass inside this newly restored cathedral. Jose?
Craig Melvin in Paris, thank you. Before that ceremony, President-elect Trump met with France's President Macron as well as Ukrainian President Zelensky. I want to bring in Kristen Welker, moderator of Meet the Press, who sat down with Mr. Trump for an exclusive interview airing tomorrow. And Kristen, you pressed the president-elect on his support for Ukraine?
Jose, that's right. I asked President-elect Trump if Ukraine should prepare for less aid from the United States after he's sworn into office. And his response to me was possibly. Mr. Trump also said he's actively working to end the war before the inauguration, which puts even more attention on that meeting he held today with Presidents Macron and Zelensky. Jose, a Trump transition official tells me the meeting was a very general discussion and no new ground was broken.
And Kristen, you also asked the president-elect about his domestic priorities.
Jose, I did. He confirmed NBC's reporting that he's planning to issue a flurry of executive actions on day one, including on the economy, energy, and the border. He acknowledged that some of those actions could be met with legal challenges. Notably, Jose, when I asked about his priorities for his first 100 days in office, he made it clear he also plans to focus on extending his tax cuts from 2017, which are set to expire later next year.
And Kristen, he is sticking by some of his more controversial cabinet picks.
Well, Jose, the president-elect is standing firmly behind his cabinet picks, including his embattled choice for Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Hegseth is facing accusations of sexual misconduct and excessive drinking, which he denies. Mr. Trump told me he still has confidence in him. I also pressed him on his choice for Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, who had 2 secret meetings with Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad. The president-elect telling me he has confidence in her, too, and tells me, quote, she is a very respected person. Jose.
Kristen, thank you. A very important and timely interview, and you can catch Kristen Welker's interview with President-elect Trump tomorrow on Meet the Press. And now to stunning developments in Syria. Rebel forces there advancing at breakneck speed toward the country's capital city. A U.S. official says Damascus could soon fall. Ali Rafa reports.
Tonight, new signs Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's regime is at risk of falling. This statue of the Syrian dictator's father torn down in a suburb just 6 miles from the center of the capital city, Damascus. Since taking the country's second largest city of Aleppo last week, anti-Assad rebels have traveled south, seizing the cities of Hama and Dara, now fighting for control of Homs and trying to cut off the capital. Their fastest battleground gains since Syria's civil war began 13 years ago. The rebels, led by the Islamist group HTS, once tied to al-Qaeda and labeled a terrorist organization by the U.S. Assad's regime has survived largely on support from Russia, Iran, and one of Iran's proxies, Hezbollah in Lebanon. Rebels now exploiting Assad allies' focus being diverted elsewhere, with Hezbollah's heavy losses at the hands of Israel and Russia's offensive in Ukraine. Syria's government today insisting, despite rumors to the contrary, that Assad remains in Damascus and it's strengthening defenses around the capital. But this video shows Syrian soldiers in the north defecting in exchange for safety from rebels. Back in the U.S., the mother of Austin Tice, an American journalist kidnapped in Syria more than 12 years ago, says her family has received hopeful news.
That we have from a significant source that has already been vetted all over our government. Austin Tice is alive.
The family hoping the unrest in Syria creates an opportunity for Tice's release.
Ali Rafa is at the White House tonight. Ali, if the rebels do take Damascus, what happens next?
Well, it's unclear who would emerge as Syria's leader and what they would do, but one top concern is Syria's partial border with key U.S. ally Israel, which has begun military exercises in light of rebel forces seizing regions near the border. Jose?
Ali Rafa at the White House, thank you. Coming up, a wild chase caught on camera. That's a convicted murderer breaking free. We'll tell you how he got away. Also, drones the size of small cars. The menacing new mystery in the night skies near major American cities. Tonight, an escaped inmate is on the loose. The convicted killer caught on camera in broad daylight running away from officers while on his way to court. David Noriega has more on how he got away.
This new video shows the shocking moment a convicted killer escaped from correctional officers. He's seen running across an empty lot, an officer chasing after him. Cesar Hernandez was convicted of first-degree murder in 2019. and sentenced to 80 years to life. Hernandez was serving his sentence for murder and was allegedly found with a weapon in prison. He was set to be arraigned for that offense in the county courthouse that's behind this City Hall building here. He somehow got free, ran this way, across this empty lot, and rounded the corner into the alleyway. The video of the escape shows Hernandez bolting across this lot without shackles or handcuffs, the officer far behind. At one point, Hernandez looks back as he runs. The officer can be seen raising his weapon, but then lowers it as Hernandez disappears into the alley. Dakota Salazar works across the street.
I see a police officer pull up to the gate here, and the sheriff looks our way. He's like, hey, can you guys go inside?
For residents of this small city, Monday's escape led to a week on edge, with schools closed and holiday festivities canceled as the manhunt dragged on.
You're not sleeping well at night right now. It's scary.
Authorities now believe Hernandez has likely fled the Delano area, bringing some relief to this community. But tonight he remains at large as investigators work to determine how this convicted killer broke free. David Noriega, NBC News, Delano, California.
Still ahead, a growing mystery. Giant drones flying over New Jersey, New York City, and now at a meeting of high-ranking military officials. Where do they come from? Plus, an early Christmas surprise for one family. We're back with a growing mystery. Swarms of drones, some the size of small cars, flying at night over parts of New Jersey and now New York City, neighborhoods on edge. And today, a new sighting over a high-ranking military meeting in California. George Solis has more.
Tonight, an aerial mystery that's been described as unnerving is growing. The FBI now investigating multiple reports of unidentified drones flying over New Jersey, some as large as a small car. And today, a large drone seen here, also described as the size of a small vehicle, flying over a California event where Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin was in attendance.
More drones in the sky, Rockaway, New Jersey.
The New Jersey drones, initially spotted in the northern part of the state, now being reported further south. Sightings also now being reported in New York City. Staten Island Borough President Vito Fossella calling on the FAA and FBI to expand their investigation.
People have seen a number of 15-foot or so wingspan drones hovering around. In this day and age, I just don't think that that's something you take lightly. If it is, nothing to be concerned about. Someone should come forward and say that.
Residents alarmed by the number of sightings.
One would go over, and then the next one would come, and then the next one, and the next one. So it wasn't like there would be 20 coming at one time.
Jonathan Lace, a pilot himself, shot this shocking video overnight of multiple car-sized drones near the Essex County, New Jersey airport. So concerned by what he saw, he contacted the FAA.
What's been probably the most alarming thing to you?
As a pilot, I can tell you that, when you're about to land, the last thing you want to see is something hovering in front of you.
What is that? With many questions and few answers, residents and officials alike on high alert as the mystery in the sky deepens. George Solis, NBC News, New York.
When we come back, there's good news tonight. The big surprise that brought this beloved school custodian to tears. There's good news tonight. So often the good news doesn't get as much attention as the bad. So every Saturday, we highlight the many people who spread joy and love. These are just some of those stories this week. At Lothian Elementary School in Maryland, a surprise celebration for beloved custodian Lewis Watkins. They renamed the school gym and cafeteria after him to honor his 51 years of service.
Going to now be known as Watkins Cafe.
Mr. Watkins moved to tears.
I'm proud of it.
In Texas, it wasn't Santa, but another legend spreading joy.
I have a gift for you, $500.
Basketball superstar Shaquille O'Neal giving out $500 gift cards at a Texas JCPenney.
$500 gift card, brother. Merry Christmas.
Shocking shoppers Laura and Wendell Garrett. But that money, the Garretts are paying it forward, giving every cent to a favorite charity helping those in need.
It didn't even dawn on us to buy anything for ourselves. We're just gonna bless others.
There's people close around you that are struggling, that need just a little bit of help, that would make the world of difference to them.
And this was an early holiday blessing one family will never forget. Loved ones surprising 10-year-old Colston Delp by decorating the family's Las Vegas area home for Christmas.
It's a big tree.
Colston's Little League team there to support him too as he battles cancer. For Mom Samantha and firefighter Dad Chasen, that show of support means the world. So, what was it like when you arrived and there is so much love?
Colston's just bawling. You could see all the people standing there caroling and neighbors and friends. The community just pulled together.
Chase, a lot of things that are difficult are made less difficult when you have family and friends behind you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What does that mean to each one of you?
It means everything. We definitely couldn't do this alone.
This is Christmas magic. This is what Christmas is meant to be.
Happy New Year.
And that's NBC Nightly News for this Saturday. Hallie Jackson will be here tomorrow night. I'm Jose Diaz-Balart. Thank you for the privilege of your time, and good night.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.